Which one of these is the real version? Alright, so Twilight Princess. We all know it. We all love it. One of the best Zelda games ever produced, in my opinion. Just the sheer amount of joy that I feel when I played this game is unfathomable. Everything, you know, from the music to the controls, the storyline, the way that Link transforms into a wolf at the end of the day, I think a lot of this stuff is still very unique to Zelda. Yes, is it more of a traditional Zelda game compared to most? Yeah, and this is when the formula for Zelda was starting to break down a little bit and people were starting to complain, but it's still amazing. I remember this is one of the first Zelda games that I remember playing for the very first time. What's weird about the original version of Twilight Princess is that it was announced in 2005 for a release date on the GameCube, but then was later delayed so that it could get ported to the Wii with some added features. But what's weird about this release is that Twilight Princess, you would think then was a dual release, where they would both release in the same time, sort of like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild were released for the Nintendo Switch, as well as the Wii U day and date. This is a different story. The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess for the Wii was actually released in November, and then later on, in December, it was released for the GameCube. To say basically that this game has been talked to death and both versions have been dissected would be, you know, basically treading through a lot of dead water that's already been treaded. For me personally, I played the Wii version first, and then later down the road, I actually played the GameCube version. However, there's really not one version that I prefer. Yes, the Wii version technically is the better version, as in terms of it offers widescreen support. Right here, as you would see, 16:9 widescreen presentation only on the Wii, as well as Link is now right-handed swordsman compared to in the GameCube where he is a left-handed swordsman, because, you know, they wanted to make sure that when you swung your sword, it wasn't awkward. So the whole world has been flipped as compared to this. So when you're playing these games, basically everything has just been flipped and mirrored. But as far as the release here on the Wii and the GameCube, you're basically talking about the exact same game. There's not really a whole lot of differences. Everything from the box art, as we can see, is almost the exact same thing to the cover case. The only thing that's a little different is here on the side. The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess has got more of this brown leather look to it, while this has more of, you know, the traditional white Wii logo with just wording. Opening it up, however, you can see that it's got a nice disc, sort of implementing that traditional Zelda, you know, the gold cartridge as seen on the original NES. A lot of the other cartridges, like Ocarina of Time, for example, has done the gold cartridge. You know, it's just a traditional Wii packet, nothing very special here. The GameCube, same thing, where it is using the gold disc. Nothing special here. This one I don't have the manual for because I bought it secondhand. But, you know, I mean, it's Twilight Princess at the end of the day. I just think it's kind of interesting that these were dual releases, and while they weren't at the same time because they were released a month apart from each other. So technically, what's the real version of this game? Is it the Wii version or the GameCube version? But the GameCube version was announced first before the Wii version. This is always kind of a weird argument for some people. For me personally, like I said, I don't really care. Nowadays, I do prefer the GameCube version as to the Wii version because, you know, I can use a traditional controller. I don't have to swing the remote with the Wii version. But that being said, it is still cool to go back to the Wii version and play this on the Wii. A few years later, however, we received The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD for the Wii U. Probably one of the most disappointing announcements for me on the Wii U, because what happened was Nintendo had this massive Nintendo Direct, and this was one of the first announcements for that Direct. And personally, I kept having to wait until when they would show the Wii U version, and then it ended up being that was the Wii U version. And to say that I was impressed would be an understatement. I thought it looked awful, to be honest. I kept thinking, oh, it's just a port. This isn't Twilight Princess HD. There was really nothing impressive about it. That being said, however, I do think that this is one of the more impressive ports, because when you consider it, They did have to go in and tweak a lot more than something like The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker HD. That has a lot of different issues for me personally, more so than the GameCube version. Still looks gorgeous. Twilight Princess doesn't look as gorgeous, but it does look impressive still. For me, you might be wondering why it's the protective case. This is the only sealed game that I still own. I did play The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD when it came out. I think I either rented this or I bought it digitally. I cannot remember. I'd have to double check on my Wii U. But I bought this secondhand for a pretty good price. It's still sealed. This comes with the Wolf Link amiibo, which unlocks the Cave of Shadows, which is still kind of odd. This was when Nintendo was doing their weird stuff with amiibo, where amiibo would either unlock a whole new part of the game that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense, such as this, or it would do nothing. So for example, here you see with this edition, you get the game as well as a Wolf Link amiibo. And there it is. I think that the Wolf Link amiibo is one of the best amiibo that Nintendo has released. Their Zelda amiibo, they got really good about making sure that there's a quality to them compared to a lot of other amiibo. Like, I feel that the Zelda amiibo have just always maintained a really high quality. And yeah, Twilight Princess HD is the definitive way to play this now. While it's cool to go back and play the original GameCube or the original Wii release, you know, The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD is the definitive way just because of how many different features they added to the game. So for example, right here, journey across Hyrule with the Wii U gamepad controller. You can access the map and items screens without interrupting the gameplay or experience the adventure on the gamepad with off-screen mode, which was really, really cool at the time. Just being able to make sure that your arrows or your rubies, all of that information is displayed on the gamepad, and that's really nice. You can also have it like a traditional experience like the GameCube version, because you can use the Wii U Pro controller. What's weird about this though is that there wasn't like a Wii version where you could hook up the Wii controllers to the Wii U version and play the Wii version. That was always a bit weird. This is taking the original GameCube version and up-resing it. There's nothing from the Wii version necessarily. They did have a Master Quest or a special hard mode where after you beat the game, I believe, or maybe it's even Ganon that unlocks it. I don't know. I never got that far in the HD version, but when it comes to this, there was a special side quest where it would flip the world and mirror it compared to the GameCube version. So you would technically be playing the Wii version, but you wouldn't be using the Wii controls. It was a bit weird. I don't know if I'll keep this sealed for very long. I think I will open it eventually, especially to maybe try out the Wolf Link amiibo dungeon, the Cave of Shadows. I haven't gotten to that yet, and that's something that maybe I can make a video on in the future. I just find it interesting that there are so many different versions of this game, and, you know, it's something that, I don't know, not a lot of people share. It's interesting to compare and contrast the Wii and the GameCube version, especially because so many people die by the GameCube version as compared to the Wii version. However, if you're going to choose a version, definitely go with the Wii U version. But by this point, who knows? Nintendo might be porting the Wii U version to the Nintendo Switch or even the Switch 2 along with Wind Waker HD. I find it very strange that this in particular and Wind Waker HD have not been ported to the Switch. It feels like a golden opportunity where Nintendo would put them in a double pack or maybe even separately. You could $60 them. There's Zelda. You can easily get away with that. I don't understand why Nintendo doesn't do that. But, you know, it's just kind of fascinating to go back and check out all these different versions of a Zelda game, especially one so controversial. Me, I love Twilight Princess. I don't consider it the best Zelda game or even my favorite Zelda game, maybe not even my top 5, but it's definitely a good one that people should check out more.